So the obvious is that we didn't play well enough yesterday. My responsibility that we get that done. The obvious things are the things that we need to take care of right now, and so those are the penalties, the turnovers. Those have got to be answered and taken care of. That'll help us with our third down situation, and then put ourselves in position where we can also create some turnovers. So I thought we did a good job with the interception yesterday. Defensively, we did some great things in the run game against a really good runner. But there are spots here where we've got to take care of business, whether it's with the pass game offensively or defensively. Got to make sure we better ourselves there. These are all things that we can do individually and collectively as a team, but it's got to get done. And so we're gonna work on the obvious and try to get that taken care of and do the best we can with that. So anyways, I don't have anything injury wise to present to you right now. I other than Patrick did the thing I mentioned last night. Patrick he passed the protocol part of the concussion protocol part. So and it was my decision not to put him back in at that time. Anyways, with that, time's yours.
Let's go first to Sam McDowell. Go ahead, Sam.
Hey, Brad, I've got a couple things. Andy, you kind of just answered this, but I just wanted to clarify. So Patrick hasn't felt any sort of effects today, like you anticipate him playing next Monday?
Yeah, so I haven't met with the doctors, but no, I don't anticipate that. So I would have most likely heard that by now.
And then secondly, Patrick mentioned yesterday in this post game that he's pressing a little bit. And one of those attributes he mentioned was just leaving the pocket. I just wonder, from your assessment, he seemed to be pressured more yesterday than what he has been. How much of that a result with some stuff up front versus maybe some things he has to change as far as where he sits in the pocket and how early he leaves it?
Yeah, so listen, Sam, I mean, they're a good defensive front, and we put ourselves in a position where we had to throw the ball. And you do that against a good defensive front, there will be some pressures. You got to work through it, and then he'll get out of the pocket and do what he does. But listen, I can only tell you that we all need to get better on this. It's always good to get after the quarterback or get after a specific area. It's not one thing right now. There's a handful or two handfuls of things that we've got to get straight, and that's coaching and that's playing. And so without going into a whole lot of detail, because we still got a lot of games here to play, the obvious, I think, is what you guys can see, and that's got to be fixed. If it's fixed, you have a chance to win every football game. If it's not fixed, then you're going to struggle.
Let's go next to Pete Sweeney. Go to Pete.
Coach, with the Monday night game coming up, there becomes that extra kind of buffer day built in. And I was curious, is there a positive to maybe letting the guys get away for a little bit and kind of trying to reset a little bit on Thursday? And is that maybe something that you've been thinking about?
Yeah, listen, I thought one of the positives, Pete, was on the plane. All the guys have these iPads now. So on the plane, they all had the game on. They were all looking at the game in the back of the plane. And it wasn't, the loud music or whatever you can perceive to be that goes on in the back of the plane. This was focused on trying to get better and looking at it, curious to see, what went wrong. And so I can handle that. That normally tells you got a pretty strong locker room. And we need that right now. That's what we need. We need strong coaches and coaching, and we need a good, solid, strong locker room. And so I felt, guys want to do the right things. We got to make sure that we're putting them in position to do it, and then when they're put there, that they execute it the right way and then make the play.
Let's go next to Sarin Petro. Go ahead, Sarin.
And Brad, excuse me, I'll have a follow-up. Coach Orlando Brown got beat with the speed rush a couple of times, and I know we've heard Patrick talk a lot about getting in sync with the offensive line, right? And you know, is that a matter of just him stepping up, or is it really just, you know, unfortunately this one falls on Orlando? He's got to find a way to get out in front of those speed guys.
Yeah, so they had a good plan on us. They pushed the pocket on the right side, and then on the quarterback's throwing arm, and then they worked at times 10 to 11 yards around the corner, which once you work the quarterback's right arm, he can't step up. So now he's deep. They work around the corner. That's the ones Orlando, the couple that Orlando got beat on there were deep and around the horn. So we got to go back and make sure that we handle the onside right, and then Orlando can do some things with his set to make it even better there.
And then the pass rush, I know the blitz got home with Ben Neiman on the one, but how difficult is it for defense to be in coverage when they so often seem to need to bring extra to try to get there? The front four just aren't getting a lot of push just with those four. How much stress is that putting on your D backfield?
Yeah, well, we do. Blitzing is part of our package, so I mean we do that and try to stay aggressive with it. So we try to blend it in. I actually thought the second half there and even some of the ones in the first half, we had pressure right in his face. And he made some great throws, I thought, and so pressure can be as good for you as a sack. When you're right in that guy's face and making him throw bloopers or get half the velocity on the ball, you got to take care of business off of that. So there were some good ones. We can do better. I'm not telling you we can't do better, sir. I'm saying that there were more than maybe you think on good solid pressures on the quarterback when he's throwing the ball. But listen, he completed them. So some of which, a couple of them I thought were great. The two on our sideline I thought were great throws and catches.
Let's go next to Aaron Ladd. Go ahead, Aaron.
Coach, we know you guys were explosive in years past, headed to the Super Bowl, but I feel like when we cut on the games this year, we don't know what to expect from week to week. Through 7 games, what would you say is the identity of this year's team?
Yeah, I think we're still working through that right now. We've got to form that identity here, and we've got these remaining games to do that. We've got to make sure that we get that together.
Last 3, we'll go right down the line, starting with Todd Levo. Go ahead, Todd.
Hey, Coach, when you went back and watched the tape from the game yesterday, what did you see effort-wise? Do you have any concerns with effort on the defense or the offense with, all 11 guys working hard?
Yeah, that was one thing I thought was good. I mean, we're seeing a lot of teams just tank it in the second half. I didn't see that. I saw guys busting their tail to get the job done. We were off, and you're playing a good football team. You cannot be off. That's the bottom line. We have to figure out a way to do that. That's what we've done in the past. We've been able to do that, and so we've got to keep an urgency up to in practice and the right frame of mind when we're playing the game to get that done. And that again comes back to what you've got coaches and what you got in the locker room and that. So I think but there's got to be that urgency's got to be there.
Go next to Matt Derrick. Go ahead, Matt.
Hey, Coach, normally your offense, as a hallmark of them, have been fast starts, and especially with that scripted period at the very beginning. This season, most of the offensive production has been coming in the second half. Is there anything that you can put your finger on as far as, looking at that scripted portion and the opening periods of the game of how you can get a bit better jump on other teams and kind of clean it up a bit?
Yeah, so, I mean, you saw it with our first series. There's a penalty, backs you up. There's the second series, you got a couple of things that took place in there that weren't right. The third series, there's a fumble. The second, or an interception, and then you come back the fourth series with a fumble. So that's been kind of our MO right now. And that's the obvious. Those are things that it doesn't take a expert here to see. And until we fix that, then you're gonna have a problem. At this level, you're gonna have a problem. The games that we didn't have quite that, then we did okay. There were not a lot of most of the games we've been kind of with that situation happen. So that's your first half. The second half, we've come out, we've cut back on those mistakes that we had, and then you're moving the football. I mean, it's we've got to do it. I mean, I can sit here and talk, and it all sounds like excuses, but we have to fix this problem. Bottom line.
Let's go last to Matt McMullen. Go ahead, Matt.
Hey, Coach, you mentioned this a bit earlier and spoke about this, but in the past, when you've had teams that have gone through stretches like this, they've almost always pulled themselves out of it. 2015 comes to mind. I know these are different teams, but what are some of the hallmarks of those teams that have found ways to fight through this adversity, and what gives you confidence this team can do that as well?
Well, you got to stick together first, and then you got to practice the right way, and then you got to transfer that on the playing field. And coaches have to make sure that they keep trying to put their players in the best possible position that they can to make plays. There's got to be a universal joint effort that takes place to do that. And unless you're doing that and feeling that, then it doesn't change around. I mean, that's how that goes. So we've got to make sure we're all pulling the same direction there and getting it done.